WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Monday at 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we're just glad to have you on the award-winning WVTC Detroit radio station. We just won a stellar award for being the best radio program in the nation in our market, so we're excited about that. Our owner, Sandy Rose, picked up our award at the Las Vegas City Convention a month ago. So we're just excited about that. Welcome to WVTC Detroit. Before I introduce our guests, I do want to say to you and send blessings to one of my good friends, Sharon Madison, whose mom, Mildred Madison, passed away. And Mildred has been a friend of mine for many, many years. As a matter of fact, I met Mildred at a conference for the National Association of Black School Board Members and Black Educators In the 80s, she was the president of the Cleveland School Board of Education. I was the vice president of the Detroit Board of Education, and we met and hit it off and just had a great friendship almost 40 years now. So blessings to the Madison family and to Sharon and all her sisters and relatives in the passing of her mom. If anyone's interested, the viewing will be on tomorrow. That's the 22nd at Swanson Funeral Home. It will be from 4 until 7 o'clock. So if you're interested to want to say hello to Sharon and the relatives, you can do that at Swanson Funeral Home on 6 Mile, tomorrow the 22nd, from 4 until 7. The Madison family has been a great asset to the Detroit area. Her father established a scholarship in their name over at Mumford High School many, many years ago. And of course, Sharon is the only woman, Black woman particularly, who owns a building on Washington Boulevard and has had it for a number of years. And so she has been doing a lot of things for a lot of years in the Detroit area. And we just will be praying with her and her family for that event. Now, my friend, wonderful, wonderful lady who's working real hard for our young people in the city of Detroit, the Honorable Angelique Peterson-Mayberry, who is the president of the Detroit Public School District Board of Education. How about that?
Yes. A mouthful now, right?
Yes, a mouthful, I'm telling you. Welcome to the WBCC.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Edna, for having me.
We are glad to have you. I thought, gee, who should I have on the show this week? School starts next week. Yes. We need to have somebody who can tell us about what's going on in DPSCD and talk to parents and give us information that's going to be useful to them about what's going on with our children. You know, oftentimes people will say, well, I didn't know school started on Monday. Well, I don't know how you didn't know, but some folks are going to say that. So for those of you who wanted to say that, you don't have to say that. You know, we're telling you right now. School starts on Monday.
On Monday
the 28th. Be there and have your children there. It's so important to have them there and on time. Please, please, y'all.
Every day.
Every day. And you probably know, maybe you don't know, the chronic absenteeism rate is bad in Detroit, but it's all over the nation. It isn't just Detroit, it's everywhere. And so all of the parents need to pay attention to whether your children are in school every day, on time, ready to work and ready to learn. So President Angelique, talk to us about DPS. What's going on in DPS?
So let me first say, extend my condolences to the Madison family as well. Miss Sharon and I have been trying to connect so that I can sit at Mother Madison's feet. She mentioned that she wanted to share some wisdom with me. And boy, so, wisdom she had, definitely. Yes. So deepest condolences to the Madison family as well. And I will make my way over to Swanson's tomorrow. That is the least that I can do. So yes, school begins on Monday. And ironically enough, you know, this is our second year going back before Labor Day.
Yes.
And so when we were one of the few districts who were still going back after Labor Day. And so everybody wasn't as welcoming for us to go back before Labor Day. But we understood, as we talk about young people needing to be in schools for a variety of reasons aside from learning, but just the social aspect. And we learned that during COVID and what the dramatic effects of that can be. Just having them in school as soon as possible. And thank you for reminding parents, because I ran into some parents last week who said, I'm just going to send mine after Labor Day. And I said, well, if you send them after Labor Day, they've already been absent a whole week, you know? So we want to make sure that parents get their young people to school next Monday, August the 28th. We are welcoming you. We've been waiting for you, our educators and our entire DPSCD staff at each school location. We've been waiting for you. There are a ton of things. And I'll even say, Miss Edna, even to the community, because a lot of times the community wants to come in and welcome young people into school on the first day. They call it clapping them in.
Yes.
So we clap them in and we welcome them, and we want them to have a safe, successful and productive school year. And that means not only for our students, but for our educators and for everybody in the schoolhouse. We want to make sure that they have a safe and productive school year. So the 28th of August, we look forward to seeing each of our young people at one of our school buildings.
Wonderful. And again, as you say, it's so important. Now, is there anything new going to happen this school year that they need to know about?
Well, there's a lot. I've gotten some emails around, and you check your particular school location, because I've gotten some emails around uniforms. And parents want to know, does my child's school have a uniform? So there is a uniform policy. However, there are there's autonomy at the school level, where some schools are deciding on a relaxed uniform, and maybe it's just colors. So maybe it's wearing a variety of colors. We just want everyone to be very tasteful around what they wear to school. And there's been heavy debates on either side. Yes, we want uniforms. No, we don't want uniforms. You're removing the identity from them. Oh, we want them because everybody can't afford the latest and greatest. And so we decided to, although we have this overarching policy around uniforms, to give some autonomy to the school level, because they know best in terms of what their young people need to wear to school. So that is one. For a second one is check the school start times and stop times. Check to see if there's latchkey before and after school. There are different programs that are offering those at different schools. And one thing that I'm really excited about is some of those amenities that we were able to have due to some of the COVID funding, they're still there.
That's great.
They're still there.
That's
one in particular is mental health support.
Thank goodness.
And so I know we'll talk more about that, but it's extremely important that the resources are there, but people have to take advantage of them.
Yeah, they have to take advantage, and they have to know about it too.
They have to know about
That's
it.
the other piece, and that people sometimes don't know about it. So how are people getting the information about those resources?
So I will say to parents, please do not opt out of the calls. I know we call you a lot. We text you a lot. Just delete it if it doesn't apply to you. But oftentimes parents, we are over communicating, and parents say, I just opted out because they're, you guys are reaching out to me too much. But we want to make sure that you stay in the loop for information. So, old school, it would be the letters that they sent home, the backpack letters, they call them.
That never got home.
That never got home, right? It just never got home. So in addition to making sure that they have that information through the electronic devices, but they also have that information being sent to parents through emails, and there's on the website, and your PTAs at your locations, they have that information as well. So the information is there. We just want to make sure that you have it.
And talk a little bit about, we were talking about uniforms, and for those schools that do have uniform policies, parents need to know also that there is help for them, because we have the resource center over on Puritan, is it?
Okay, yes.
And they can go over there, check with their school principal, attendance agent, whoever, and they can go over and get resources for their students. So sometimes if they don't have the uniforms, they'll have uniforms there for them that are free.
That's right.
If you don't have items that children need, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes, hair items, those items are being donated to the school district. And you can go over to the resource center and get them free. So take advantage of what's available to you, DPS. There's a lot available through DPS for our parents and our children. Take advantage of those things, because you can get those things if you don't have the wherewithal to buy them yourselves. There are people who want to give them to you.
Correct. And there are even clauses at the schools.
Yes.
So there are clauses at the schools. As our community has wrapped their arms around our educational institutions, they've provided things at the school. So if you need the young women with the feminine hygiene items. So there are uniforms there are washing supplies. Maybe you need to, some of our schools are equipped with washers and dryers that have been donated. We want to eliminate any barrier and all obstacles that become not just reasons, but excuses as to why our young people are not in the buildings, and we aren't turning our young people away. So we want to make sure that they're in the building, that they are there on time every day and ready to learn, because we're ready to serve you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So parents, please make sure if you need something, talk to somebody in the school. There's somebody there who can help you with whatever your needs are. Somebody there who's waiting to help you. They're willing to help you, want to help you, anxious to help you. So do that. There are lots of programs that go in DPS, but one of the ones that comes to mind is the homeless program, the homeless department. And I know that some of our children are not in school because, unfortunately, their families are homeless and they're moving from spot to spot. Talk about the homeless department.
So unfortunately, our partnership, the McKinney-Vento project is what you're speaking of. And unfortunately, our students are very transient. So what that means is they may stay with me this week. They may stay with you next week, and then they're staying with Miss Sandra the next week. And so what we're trying to do is really make sure that despite where they're staying, that they have a warm bed and they have food and they have transportation and all the educational information that they need and support. And so we have a homeless department. We have a department. We provide transportation for them to get to and from, and also resources, and we've done things like help find living situations for some parents, and helping with utilities and things of that nature, with food, and then referrals. Sometimes they're in hotels. So we just want to make sure people know, when you say educational institution, it's so much bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that. And I really applaud our community, because they have indeed stepped up to wrap their arms around our young people and our families as well, because we know that when you say community district, it takes a community to elevate this district. And that's exactly what's happening.
Absolutely. And so parents and friends of parents who know that those parents are maybe moving from location to location, contact the school.
The FACE department.
Contact the FACE department, ask them how they can help, and tell them what you need, and they'll find a way to help you.
That's right.
Believe me, they are very good at finding ways to help parents and students. So contact the FACE department. That's family and community engagement.
Look
yes,
I got it. Listen, 11 years on the school board to do stuff like that for you. All right, Miss Edna.
Family and community engagement department. They will find a way to help you out, and they do it in a way that is compassionate
and respectful,
and respectful for you, and then they understand, because look at this, everybody has not always had. Many of us have not always had.
That's right.
And so we understand what it is to need some things, and sometimes people don't want to ask, but ask.
That's right.
Because it's not just for you, it's for your children. And we do a lot of things that will help our children. That's one you need to be sure you do. Contact the FACE department. Tell them what your needs are. Like I said, they've got this whole building on Puritan.
That's right.
That will welcome you in, that will find ways to help you. And they have places in the schools themselves, as the president said. We have washer and dryers in the school. You can take your things in there and you can wash and dry your clothes. You don't have to even go to the FACE department. Your local school, in many cases, has a washer and dryer that can help you.
The other thing I will say about the FACE department too is, the goal is to provide those wraparound services for families, but also to just elevate the guardian. Oftentimes we're saying mother, father, but the guardian may be Nana, it may be TT, whoever that guardian.
Older brother or
that's
sister.
right. Older siblings are now getting custody of their younger siblings, and they're becoming their guardians. And so we want to make sure that if you've identified the need, then we're trying to meet that need. So come and get the information, because the information is there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so be sure that, you contact the FACE department. It's on Puritan, 16164 Asbury Park of Puritan, the corner of Asbury Park.
Yes.
It's a huge building, used to be a school building.
That's right.
And you will be very pleased with what you find there. Very pleased. Very, very pleased. We're just glad they're there, because they do a great job. And not only that, they've been going out during the summer, knocking on doors.
Absolutely.
Saying to parents, okay, kids need to be in school on the 28th.
Coming up.
School's coming up.
Hey,
come on now.
What can we help you with, right?
What do you need?
That's right. What do you need?
So somebody knocked on your door this summer. They were probably from the FACE department, and they were there to say, we're here to help.
That's right.
So I take advantage of those things. They are not trying to pry into your personal business. All they're trying to do is help you and your children get the best of what we have to offer. And we have so much to offer.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because, we have a campaign called Are You Okay? And so several of us, school board, superintendent, community, FACE department, staff, teachers, we went door to door. And we were trying to just see if people were okay. And you'd be surprised as you were knocking on some doors, what did he do? What's going on? We're just trying to make sure you're okay.
Yes.
And it was overwhelmingly positively received. And so I just want to make sure people know that we are all in this together. So we appreciate you all for allowing us the opportunity to come in and educate your most prized possession, which is your baby.
And then we've got a question from one of our callers, and it is, do we have warrant officers, or is it called something else? And I guess when we were in school, they were called truant officers. Truant officers. Well, they're not called truant officers anymore. They're called attendance agents.
Right. Trying to remove the stigma from it, right?
They're called attendance agents. And we do have them. Every school has at least one. Yeah. And some schools have more than one, depending on the size of the population.
Correct.
So yeah, we do have.
We do still have them, and their goal is literally to, sometimes they're bringing students to school. They're bringing students to school, but when you notice that students aren't at school, especially for an extended period of time, their task is to find out why. So identify why they're not there, see what type of support we can provide, and then try and get them to school. And the media has done a really good job of having some really positive stories of covering those attendance agents as they go and try to make sure our young people are in school.
Yes, and I said there's one in every school, and they are the ones, the first line of attack, to be very honest. Right. They're the ones that once the teacher takes attendance, as she said, Mary Jane is not in school today.
Yes. They're picking up that phone. They're calling.
We're calling. The attendance is calling. Hi, Miss Jones. Is Mary Jane okay?
Is she okay?
And sometimes Miss Jones says, yes, she's on her way now. She's a little bit late.
Right. That's
and
right.
sometimes she'll say, oh, Mary,
she left here. She should be at school, right?
She should be there somewhere. She left here. So, but those attendance agents are on their job, and the attendance agents are doing a fantastic job in helping us reduce the chronic absenteeism in our schools. And
I will say we're not unique.
No,
with that challenge.
Nationally,
attendance is a challenge. I've been out of high school 30 years, and I just remember I wasn't the decision maker in my home, making a decision on if I was going to school or not.
No,
that wasn't my choice. And so oftentimes now we see young people are the decision makers. Yes. And so what we've got to do is make sure that their experience at school is worth coming and being more robust. We can't just say you come so you learn. That learning, that for them looks different in this day and age than it did back in the day.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And you're absolutely right, because and I think one of the big things we have to do is find a way to get to parents. And I'm not sure what that is, but I know we're working on it. But we've got to find a way to get to the parents to say, you really are responsible for this child being in school, and you really don't have a choice, because legally you're responsible. Now, if we have to go the legal route, we'll do that. We would rather not.
Right.
But parents do know that you are legally responsible for that child being in school. And if you are not living up to that responsibility, you can be in front of a judge trying to explain why.
Reprimanded. Some districts still do that. Some districts still do that. I have colleagues in other districts, and they still do that, where they have a partnership with the city that they are in, and they actually have efforts more streamlined, and parents do end up in court for reasons like that.
And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that. And maybe Detroit needs to maybe be a little bit more aggressive in that regard, because if that parent is not taking the proper responsibility, that child should not have to suffer for that. Right. And they are suffering for that. And so parents do know that you are legally responsible, and you could end up in court before a judge trying to explain why Mary Jane wasn't in school 19 days and became chronically absent.
Yes. And if Mary Jane is a challenge for you parents, then we have support around that as well.
Yes.
If you're telling Mary Jane to go to school and Mary Jane is telling you what she's not going to do, rolling ahead. If she's doing all of that, then we need to make sure we get you some support around how to effectively communicate, influence, and guardian your young person. So we have support around that as well as agencies. And so there's agencies and resources available, because sometimes we need help. Every parent thinks they're doing an amazing job. And so we always assume the absolute best for our parents. And sometimes it's just a bit difficult to parent our young people in this day and age. And so we want people to know that they don't have to do that alone, and that there's support there.
Absolutely. So please ask. There is support for whatever it is you're having a challenge with. The system has all sorts of people, and support systems in place to help you out. The goal is to get that child to school and to help the child succeed. And however we can help you do that, that's what the system is going to do.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do.
So one of the other things I'm really excited about is as we move into the school year, our high schools in particular have career academies. So in those career academies, the high schools are outfitted for a particular industry. So we have manufacturing. We know about Randolph with all of our skilled trades programs. We have a communication, media, and arts school. We have an aerospace school. We have career tech education buildings. We have buildings around medical support, veterinarian. So the list goes on and on. So we want to make sure that as parents decide what school may be best for their young person, that they actually go to our website, and that's www.detroitk12.org. Go, and each school, you will see a link that says about the school. So look and see what the school has to offer so that you can see if it's a great fit for your young people. And then in our K-8 schools, what we're trying to do is make sure we're creating pipelines for those high schools.
And that is so important. And you mentioned the Davis Aerospace Center. That is we're the only school district, the only one, I believe, in the nation that has its own aerospace program right next to an airport.
Right next to it.
I mean, you can't beat that.
No.
You just can't beat that. And as people talk about, DPSCD this, DPSCD that, you need to talk about all the positive things that are going on in DPSCD and all the things that we offer that other school districts don't offer.
They don't. And I'm really, shout out to the Tuskegee Airmen, because that institution has wrapped their arms around Davis Aerospace. And those young people, there are simulators in the building where those young people are learning to fly airplanes in public education. Oftentimes I'm contacted, how much is Davis Aerospace's tuition? It's the 5-finger discount, as they used to say, right? It's free 99. And we just want to make sure that people take advantage of that, because others outside of Detroit, they are beginning to get wind of what we're doing, and they are sending their young people. So we really want our young people to have top priority and preference over those programs. But please take advantage of programs like Davis Aerospace.
So important.
Gender-based schools. We have all male schools, all female schools. So you're absolutely right.
It's just it's an important aspect of how we do business in Detroit. Another question: would you say we've somewhat gotten back to normal since COVID? We're getting there.
I said this the other day. Somebody said, we're post-COVID. I said, well, we've turned the corner. We've turned the COVID corner.
There, but we're on our way.
We're on our way. One thing we're excited about is what we do see is that we're getting back to the pre-COVID numbers in terms of academic excellence and attendance. And so that is exciting for us, because we've been in this space, this time frame where we were still trying to revive ourselves from that. And so we were just, M-STEP scores were just released. And so we see the data moving now. And so it lets us know that we are turning that corner indeed.
And that's so important. And I pray that we will not get back anywhere near where we were before, because it was just, we don't even want to talk about that.
Exactly.
We're not even going to talk about that kind of stuff today. We're not talking about that. We're not talking. But you talked about the Tuskegee Airmen, and I went to the big, Northern High School.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
Not Northwestern. I see everybody thinks. And my high school geometry teacher was a Tuskegee Airman. And and you're in high school, and you're hearing this guy talk about how flying planes, and he's giving us problems like if you start at a train at this mile, these miles, and start in a plane, and what time are you going to get there? And we're looking at him like, sure, you flew a plane, sure you did, and you grow up and you find out, well, I'll be doggone.
Yeah, he really did fly a plane. Absolutely,
he really was a Tuskegee
and he looks like us, right? He looks like us.
Yes. So. Yes. He was Dick Macon, one of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Wow.
And he was my high school geometry teacher back in, 1959. Help me.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my. Yes, Lord.
Yes.
But he was quite a man. Just my brother, who was a videographer and documentary person, did a a film about Tuskegee Airmen that won an Emmy.
Yeah.
It's called An Eagle Should Fly.
Yeah.
And it won an Emmy. But
Wow.
we just thought, he's just saying that to us. He did not fly a plane. And we just know, yes, he did fly a plane. So you never know, young people, when the teachers are talking to you, believe them.
Who's in your midst, right? Who's
right.
standing in front of you? You absolutely never know. We appreciate them for sure.
Okay, there's a question for you. What are some strategies that are being used in DPSCD to increase reading scores?
Oh, wow. So we have a couple of things that are taking place. So we do have some programs where we have positions called academic interventionalists. And so academic interventionalists, based on MSTEP scores and finding out where our young people are, those young people are receiving the one-on-one tutoring that they need for literacy. There's another program called Let's Read. The community goes into this program and they get trained on how to teach young people, because we may know how to read, but it's very difficult sometimes to teach someone else. And you need the patience, and there are skills and qualities that you need for that. So being able to, and I love this program because you can let the school know what days you're available, what time, and you pick your schools.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. And then we have a program that is doing Orton Gillingham. And so it's going a little bit deeper into the depths of where the challenge is with our young people and providing that where you receive measurements. We're in a process of the literacy lawsuit, and I'm sure everybody is very much aware of the literacy lawsuit, $94 million on the literacy lawsuit. We have not yet received that. However, all of the components that we have in place now, we are taking all of those to the next level because we'll have more resources to do that. But we're making sure that, when we say our young people, we just have to make sure that there are programs there and so they can take advantage of them, because we see the challenge. And even for our guardians, in that FACE department, we talked about that, but there are literacy programs for adults as well.
Yes.
Because sometimes there's this fear and this stigma attached to the fact that I, have this literacy challenge that I can't help my child with their homework. And so, there's this frustration that sets in. But as we talk about wraparound services, we want to make sure that everybody is receiving the services that they need.
Do we still have adult school? We used to have
adult education
in Detroit.
So I have to tell you my adult education story. So each year, the school board members, we go and we make sure we're present at all the graduations. This year, I had the awesome task of being the representative at the adult ed graduation. And there were nearly 100 graduates who were coming through. The youngest was age 19. The most senior graduate was 61 years old. And to hear the celebrations when the graduates walked across stage, you hear deep voices, "Mama, I'm proud of you," and I just thought, oh my gosh, there was a resilience from this group of people who, no matter what life, the challenges that life threw them in the past, they were determined to make sure that they had this diploma.
Isn't that incredible?
And so, yes, we definitely have adult ed, and people are continuing to go through the program. Shout out to the adult ed department, because they have really made sure that these people stay on task and on target, and they've come through. And again, it was such a warm, rewarding experience to see all of those graduates walk across.
And I just remember that, and I thought, where is it located? In a building, several buildings, or where is it located?
So there's 2 locations, and so what a person can do is they can go to that website and they find out which location is best for them, east or west. But we want to make sure that they are if you are one who stepped away from school for a while, we don't care why. But we want to bring you back and welcome you back and make sure you have that diploma that you need when you get ready to go. Because really you are becoming, in some families, that is the first diploma in that family.
Yes.
And so they set the tone for everyone else. We say first college degree, but we have to take a step back and say that these people are sometimes the first high school degree, high school diploma. Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, that is so. I'm so glad to hear that. That is absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Well, now let's talk about something that's probably an elephant in the room. Are the teachers going to strike?
They better not. No, I'm just
kidding. I have a daughter who is
absolutely
a DPS employee.
Yes.
And she said, "Mama," I said, "No, you know why they're not going to strike? Because it's quiet." Which tells me that they're talking.
Oh, we've been talking.
As long as they're talking,
yes,
there's not a whole lot of noise going on.
That's
It's
right.
It's going to be all right.
That's
So
right.
yeah, you'll be going back to school.
Teachers went back today.
Yes.
So they went back today. Students will again go back on Monday. But if anyone paid attention to media today, social media, the news, they talked about that there is a tentative agreement. I won't go into the details, but teachers are voting on their contract tonight and tomorrow. So they have 2 days to vote. There's been a lot of talk back and forth, not just our district, right? We know other districts. You hate to be in a position where you're 2 weeks or a week out of school and you're still operating off an extended contract from the previous year. But we want to make sure that our young people have certified teachers in front of them on the 28th. And I'm very confident that that will happen. Shout out to the leadership, because it's not an easy task.
It is not.
And so we see the big three going through contract negotiations. You see the colleges going through contract negotiations. So we're not unique in that space, but I'm really excited. And I think the educators will be excited, and all those in our union families, because we know that, in order to retain teachers, they have to be paid more.
Yes.
And so, I don't think anybody is oblivious to that. We understand that within this restricted budget that we have to prioritize where the spending will be. And so we know that our educators need, as well as everyone else in the district, will need that increase, and they will see that increase going into the fall.
Wonderful, wonderful. Talk about something else. That's security in the buildings, because that's something that parents and educators, teachers, everybody, unfortunately, needs to have a concern about, because people, and probably the last thing we'll talk about is the mental health issue. But right now, security and mental health kind of
go hand in hand. So, a couple of years ago, I will say that there was a lot of pushback from some community members around the fact that we had a police department. And so they were restructured because we wanted people to have a better understanding of their task. So their task was not to police young people. Their task was to make sure that it was safety.
To protect them.
So public safety department is their name. But I think, and that used to be their name, and then it changed. And now we're back to that, because the task that they have is so much greater.
Absolutely.
But anytime somebody is trying to disturb the learning environment, adult or young person, there are consequences to that. And so we want to make sure that those are addressed. Oftentimes, the disturbances come from people outside of the school building.
Yes.
It's not the young people in the school building. And the beauty about having our own is that not only do we control the training, but they know the families, they know the students. And so you get a certain level of behavior and respect simply because they understand. I remember I graduated from King High School, and I remember Officer Hightower and Officer Taylor to this day. Okay. And I've been out of school 30 years, I told you. But if we were caught across Jefferson at the Coney Island when we should be in school by Officer Hightower or Officer Taylor, there was a problem. There was going to be a problem. So there was this certain level, I won't say fear, I'll say a certain level of respect. And so that is where we're trying to just make sure.
And it's okay to be afraid.
It's okay to be a little afraid.
It's okay to be afraid. If I skip school, I'm going to be in trouble. You need to be afraid. So I want some of these young folks to be afraid of either the officers or the fact that my mother may find out.
That's
I would rather the officer know than my mother know.
Absolutely.
Because that was a whole another level of,
Absolutely. But we know that safety is one of the top priorities that parents and guardians have when they send their young person to school. They want to make sure that they are not only just educated, but are protected and safe. And so we're going to continue to invest in that department. We have to make sure that they stay safe. And that's really the bottom line for them. But they are, they do things in the community. They have young people who are shadowing them. They found young people. And so it's really interesting to spend some time with them and to kind of walk the walk with them so that you can understand what they do. But their goal and their task is not to police young people.
And understand that, everybody, it's to protect young people and the staff. It's to protect everybody, because in order for people to teach in comfort, they've got to feel safe.
That's right. And we have staff, some of our staff, they were very vocal about the fact that if there is no security in their building, then they were less apt to come into that building, right? Yeah, so they want to make sure that the environment, not only is safe for our students, but safe for our staff in the building as well, because they absolutely deserve that. That's part of the culture that we want to make sure that people understand it exists. So for the adults who have that motive to disturb the learning environment, don't come to the school and do it. Go somewhere else and do it.
And now, when that does happen, though, when the adults come to the school and disturb the environment,
we've had parents who have been arrested, unfortunately, and it's unfortunate because you are, oftentimes we want our young people to do certain things, but they are observing our behavior. And so if we have not yet effectively learned how to deal with constructive criticism and conflict resolution, and they're watching the way that we do that, then they in turn begin to do that and they emulate what they see. So it's unfortunate that it has gotten to that point. It's been very few. I will say that it's not the norm, but there's a better way to communicate your displeasure with the way that things are going. And so we just want to make sure, use that face department so you can get some tools and then you can come and effectively communicate.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about mental health in our schools, and period, for parents, for children, for adult teachers, everybody, because mental health has become, unfortunately, so important. And I think the COVID situation exacerbated everything.
That's right.
And so what kind of help is available?
So, I think that mental health, there's a stigma attached to mental health. And so I know that this did apply to you as well, because I'm a little younger than you and it applied to me. Keep our business in our house. Don't tell nobody your business, and
don't take nothing
outside the house. But there were challenges, or if you grew up in a spiritual house, is just pray about it. Just pray about it. And so I think what COVID did is it unmasked more of that, where there was additional support needed. And, shout out to this new generation, because they will get counseling before some of us older people will get counseling. And they've been able to do it, and the resources are there. So what we did, we have a mental health hotline. We have a suicide prevention hotline. We have a homework hotline. We really are just trying to make sure that even when the school building is closed, that you still have access to these things. And so I brought this from the Parent Academy and Face Department, but it is a mental health template. It's a pamphlet with phone numbers on the back, and we can make sure that those phone numbers are shared with the viewers so that they know. But in the schools, we have partnership. One of the partnerships is with the University of Michigan, and there's a Trails program where there are questions that are asked of young people who may be exhibiting certain behaviors, and they go deeper, and it's tiered. So they go deeper based on the way that you're answering these questions. We know we need to refer you to something else and to more resources. One of our challenges with that has been that parents have to sign off on those type of services. And again,
sometimes the children don't tell the parents, or don't want them to know.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we're trying to do this year is to get in front of that. So when you register your child, enroll your child for school, there's a form that you already signed for media. You want them to appear on television and radio and newspaper and things of that nature. And so what we can do now there's another box that will say, and if mental health is needed, then I'm authorizing that to happen right now. And I think that's the way we do it. Get in front of it so that when the time comes, if the time comes, that won't be a barrier as to why they don't get the support.
Oh, that is so important. That is so important. But as we talk about mental health, we didn't talk about nurses in school, because we have nurses in our schools. Also, talk about that.
So, one of the things that we found out around, and this is the part as I sit with colleagues in other districts, and travel and hear some of these challenges. It's amazing that some of the things that are in other districts are the norm, right? So I know we have over 100 buildings, and so that makes things a bit more difficult for us. And during COVID, it was really hard to get anybody from the medical profession into the education space because they were all in the hospitals. But we've been able to successfully get nurses into the buildings. And what we found is that if a child can go and see a nurse in the day, my stomach hurt, I can have a headache, things of that nature. Now they're not going home. They're not going home. They're getting the service that they need in school, and then they're going back to class. And so I think that's one of the things that has been a game changer in a whole lot of spaces, because we have a very skilled person who can address the challenge of the young people. So we're excited about the nurses in the schools.
Absolutely. And I listen to some of the nurses in schools and the kinds of things that they talk about with the children. And oftentimes it isn't as a serious issue. It's just that this child needed somebody
That's right.
to pay attention.
That's it. That is absolutely it.
And once that happened, the child was okay.
Yes.
And they went back to class and the day went on. And so it's so important that if a child feels that way, they have somebody. And so it's so wonderful to have somebody in the school.
That's right.
That can do that.
That's right.
And of course, the social workers that are in schools and the counselors and so on play a big part in that.
They play a huge part. That's part of those wraparound services that are provided because, our educators, they are tasked with doing so much. Once a young person comes into the classroom, oftentimes they have to peel back all these layers of the onion before they can start educating them. And so with the resources in the building, they can now send those young people to the subject matter expert based on where's the challenge? Where's the challenge? Because I'm the educator, but yet I'm the educator, I'm the social worker, I'm the dentist, I'm the doctor, and so those are some of the challenges that we've identified in the past. And as we've identified those, we've been trying to make sure that we have the resources to address them.
So important. And it makes such a difference. And as you say, you've seen a difference already.
We've seen a difference
in terms of the attendance
That's
rate,
right.
Because
That's right.
They don't go home.
That's right.
And stay.
Yes. I have a 5-year-old niece, and oftentimes if I'm in her presence and in school, I have this magic lotion. It's a magic cream. And if you rub the magic cream on her head where you had the headache, all of a sudden that with a hug, she's fine now. Now she can go to school and she can play, so oftentimes it is that extra special touch that these young people need that you were talking about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're running out of time, but I want to talk about one last thing. And that is the academic sports event that was held at the Aretha last year.
Oh my gosh. Wasn't that amazing?
It was so amazing.
Oh, yes. So, Jay Alexander and his entire team who heads up our athletic department for the entire district. We, again, as we talk about community support and partners, we were able to partner with a couple of organizations who that was supposed to be where you are honoring all city. So all city athletes in a variety of spaces, from football to basketball, swim, all of those different spaces. Soccer. I will say cheerleading is a sport. Please know it's a sport, right? And so they wanted to do something a little different than what typically happens. Typically it's in a school. And we'll usually have it there and we honor them. But we were at the Aretha this time, simply because of partnerships. And the young people were able to sit there off the water and be recognized and see videos of them performing. And, it was such an amazing event. I was so happy to be there. And those young people deserve all of that and some, because not only were they athletes, they were student athletes.
Yes.
And I think that's key, because we oftentimes talk about what the average grade point average is for a team. I'm a mom of a 24 and a 21-year-old. And I would tell my son, he said, well, I only need a 2.0 to play. I said, well, you need a 3.0 from the house to play. So I don't care what they're saying in the district. In the house, you have to have a 3. Yeah, our rule is a 3.0. And he never fell below that. But, it's just really exciting for our young people to be recognized, because they've been balancing their academic career and their athletic career, and they've been able to do so
and with everything else
going on.
Yes,
everything
during
else.
the COVID era, that they were able to do all that and succeed is simply amazing. And I happened to have been there, and I thought it was excellent.
Yes,
it was just to see all those young people and their parents show up, as you said, at the Aretha on the water, our premier concert facility, and they had an opportunity to be there and be recognized. I think that was just an excellent opportunity to say to them, thank you, and continue.
Thank you for being a scholar athlete. And those are those partnerships that we want to be infectious. Oftentimes people say, well, I want to help, but I don't know how. Let us know how much you have. What does that checkbook look like? And we will get you
whatever it is.
Someplace to put those dollars, because there are needs that we still have that we would love to be able to have. The business community, the faith-based community. If you're sitting around and you're wondering, even, people need to understand your time is a resource.
Yes.
Your time is a resource. Volunteer out of school. Yes. You can go and work lunch duty. You can go and work recess. You can go on a field trip to help chaperone and supervise. Please know that we need you. If no one has ever told you that and no one has ever asked, please take it from Angelique. We need you. Pick a school in your neighborhood. You can pick a school that you graduated from. Crusaders. I went there, right? But pick a school and then we'll welcome you in. There is a process that we'll use to, clear you to be around young people and things. We don't care if you wrote a bad check. We're not checking for stuff like that. What we're checking for is to make sure that that you have the young people's best interest when you're in their presence. And so please volunteer. I can't say that enough.
Yeah. It makes you feel really good to see these young people because they begin to know you. That's right. And they begin to come because I volunteer at my grandkids' high school. And I'm in the parent room and the kids come in and, hi, Miss. They call me Nana. Hi, Nana. and can we have some water? Yes, you can have water. However, I make them write a positive affirmation for the day.
I love
put it on a sticker. And they whatever it is they write down. But they get to know you and they come in. But it makes a difference to them. Yes, and it makes a difference to you too. You feel really good being around those kids and be able to see them progress and do well.
That's right.
It makes a difference, and it makes a difference for our entire community.
It absolutely does. And Miss Edna, I will say, I know I'm your guest, but I have to ask you this question. So you were on the school board for 11 years.
Yes, Lord.
Think about the good times.
It was good. It was good. The best times were when you went out to be in the schools.
That's it. Absolutely.
In the schools and at graduations and special programs. And when the kids were doing special things, those were the best times of the time. Now, the times when we were at school board meetings and the parents got a little bit.
Yikes. You mean public comment?
They kind of lost their minds. Sometimes we had stuff thrown at us and we had to take people to court and then all that. But we survived and it turned out okay. But the best part is being with those children.
That was going to be my question. You've already answered it. What was the best time?
That was the best time. Being in those rooms when the kids were having their special programs and all, and just makes it okay, I'm good with this. I'm okay.
It makes it worth everything else that you take in for them. Absolutely.
I'm okay with this. So, it was a blessing. It was a blessing to watch them and to know how much these teachers and the educators cared about those babies. They really do.
They do.
Parents.
We appreciate anybody working with our young people. We appreciate you.
They do. Thank you so much, Madam President.
Thank you. The time went by so quickly. You have to bring me back.
I will. I'll bring you back. We may just have what I call, I've got a real estate Monday, and I've got all sorts of. We just may have an education Monday.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Once a month, we'll bring you.
I love it.
One of your colleagues to talk about what the committee stuff, because we didn't talk about committees.
We didn't talk about committees.
So we'll have to come on and talk about committees.
I will absolutely commit to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for being with us on the Community Bell Show. We'll see you next Monday, 4:00. Community Bell Show. We'll see you. Have a great week.
Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit.
The views and opinions expressed on the previous broadcast are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of WVTC Radio Detroit, its advertisers, or affiliates.
Congratulations to WVTC Gospel Radio, as they are again the recipients of the 2023 Stella Award for Best Internet Radio Station of the Year. Many thanks to our viewers. Keep watching as we are winning victories through Christ. Here's just one of the fine programs right here on WVTC Detroit.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.